Think about Niccolò Machiavelli's 1513 masterpiece, The Prince. He famously argued that the world remembers ideas, not good people. It's a raw, brutal truth about power and control. In fact, it was so brutally honest that the church called it evil and governments outright banned it. Why? Because it completely stripped away the polite fiction of society. So we're going to see how applying this exact same dark political philosophy to modern selling can make you the absolute most formidable player in any room. Selling, much like ruling an empire, is really just about engineering desire and shaping reality.
So, we're going to unpack 5 specific Machiavellian principles from our source material: the illusion of choice, designing fear and urgency, the mask of authenticity, controlling the narrative frame, and finally, the power of strategic retreat.
Starting right off with Principle 1, the illusion of choice. Give options, maintain control. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that you should never give someone total freedom. When people think they have unlimited freedom, what do? They hesitate. They overthink it. Instead, the real master move is giving the appearance of freedom while you are secretly the one controlling the outcome.
Imagine an average salesperson just blurting out, "Hey, this is 10,000. Your brain instantly goes on defense, right? You're thinking, do I really need this? Can I get it cheaper somewhere else? But the Machiavellian approach, it's like a maze where every path leads to the center. They drop a $15,000 premium dummy option first. Suddenly, that $10,000 option feels like a massive steal. This is the anchoring effect in action. The buyer thinks they made a brilliant economical choice, but the reality is, you designed the exact maze they just walked through.
Moving right into Principle 2, designing fear and urgency. Buying is driven by loss, not gain. As much as we love to tell ourselves we buy things to improve our lives, science says otherwise. Humans react way faster and way more aggressively to the fear of losing something than they ever do to the prospect of gaining something.
It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. It sounds like a line from a supervillain, but man, does it translate perfectly to the modern sales floor. Basically, your customer usually isn't going to take action until they are genuinely terrified of missing out. You can pitch the sunny benefits of a product all day long, but until they feel that sting of potential loss, they're just going to sit comfortably right there on the fence.
So how exactly do you engineer that fear? Well, the source text gives us 3 exact methods to trigger loss aversion. Step 1 is scarcity, casually dropping that we only have 2 of these left. And remember, the perception of scarcity hits just as hard as the real thing. Step 2 is social proof. You trigger major FOMO by mentioning someone else just snatched up 2 units this morning. And step 3, time-bound consequences, like a price increase kicking in tomorrow. The absolute genius of this is that you're totally manipulating the situation, but disguising the pressure as genuine customer care. You're just looking out for them.
All right, Principle 3, the mask of authenticity, where relatability wins over perfection. Machiavelli noted that everyone sees what you appear to be, but almost no one experiences what you really are. We usually think we need to be flawless to sell, but honestly, consumers are incredibly suspicious of the perfect salesperson.
What actually wins is perceived authenticity. Now, I'm not saying you need to spill your deepest secrets. It's about the strategic display of minor flaws. It's willingly admitting, yeah, this product is a little heavy, or it doesn't have this one minor feature. By actively volunteering in negative, you instantly disarm their skepticism. You prove you aren't hiding the ball, and that builds immediate, almost unquestioning trust.
Think about a classic sales scenario. The weak approach is pushing the most expensive model no matter what. The customer can literally smell the commission breath. But the Machiavellian move, it's downselling. You literally advise the customer against spending more money. You look at them and say, honestly, don't buy the premium model. The cheaper one is way more practical for you. Boom. You've just created a powerful illusion of unbiased support. Once they believe you're sacrificing your own paycheck to help them out, they're going to follow your lead on absolutely everything else.
Let's hit Principle 4, controlling the narrative frame, the lens of value. This is all about the frame, the underlying lens a customer views your product through. And remember this golden rule: whoever sets the frame controls the outcome. Period. If you let the customer bring their own frame, you are going to spend the whole time playing defense. So when a customer throws out that classic objection, 50,000 is way too much. Look at how an average rep reacts. They get super defensive, frantically listing off features to justify the price tag. The customer set the frame, and the salesperson is losing. But the master goes on the offensive. They don't defend the price at all. They entirely shift the conversation away from that massive total sum.
And they do it with a number like 27. By breaking that terrifying 50 grand lump sum down into just 27 a day over 5 years, literally less than a decent cup of coffee, you completely rewire the conversation. You force them to ask, wait, is my daily productivity not worth more than a cup of coffee? You aren't arguing about 50,000 anymore, you're debating daily value. That is exactly what controlling the frame looks like.
Finally, Principle 5, the power of strategic retreat, showing zero desperation. This is a tactic that 99% of salespeople and honestly everyday people are just way too terrified to use. But when you execute this correctly, it is devastatingly effective.
Machiavelli said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." Pushing harder, forcing the sale, sweating desperation, those are incredibly weak moves. Your absolute most powerful move is stepping backward and proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you do not desperately need this sale.
Just imagine casually looking a hesitant buyer in the eye and saying, "You know what, maybe this isn't the right time for you. I'm here when you're ready." You completely flip the psychological dynamic. Instead of chasing them, you pull away, and that triggers instant panic and FOMO in their brain. They're suddenly thinking, wait, why doesn't he want to sell to me? What am I missing? By removing the pressure, you ironically force them to chase you. Which brings us to our conclusion, the game of life. To wrap up this explainer, we really need to look at the big picture. History painted Machiavelli as a monster, but honestly, his only real crime was simply documenting the exact manipulation tactics that rulers and merchants were already using behind closed doors. He just said the quiet part out loud.
And it is exactly the same today. Every single ad you see, every brand you buy, every influencer on your feed, they are all strategically manipulating emotion. Whether you're pitching a project at work, negotiating a raise, or just trying to convey your value, life is a constant sale. Understanding these tactics doesn't make you evil. It's exactly what keeps you from getting played by a system that is literally designed to control you.
So, I'm going to leave you with this stark choice to think about. Now that you've seen the playbook, now that you know the rules of the invisible game playing out around you every single day, you have a decision to make. Are you going to take control of the frame, or are you going to let someone else set it for you? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open out there.